Yeah, so the choice of the jacket is not that I have a terrible taste for clothing. It's actually that it's Mobofree green, right? So you need to be corporate. You see green on the background, etc. So good morning, everybody. So the question is, for me, networking is actually a passion. It's actually a way of life. Anything you are going to achieve in life, you have to do it through people. So when you see that I have 3,000 connections in LinkedIn, it's not a competition about how many you have. It's actually that you are collecting through life lots of contacts, and I think that's doing it properly. It adds value to everything you do, right? So for me, this is actually a way of life. But the question is why this matters for startups, right? And the question is that entrepreneurs can never achieve their full potential, ever, alone. You need the help of others to make you get to what you want. And the more global, the more ambitious you are, the more you will need people to help you, from employees, customers, investors, advisors. So you can never do it alone. If you look at actually the 20 top reasons why startups fail, and you will actually start thinking, can somebody in your network, if this was your company and this was your problem, help you avoid that? I will tell you that you will find the answer that yes. Somebody, if you will have networked better, maybe this will not have happened. And statistically, startups fail. But fuck it, you don't care about the statistics. You care about your own startup. So you don't want to be on that statistic. You need to start thinking, how do you network better so you can raise the money, so you don't run out of cash? So when you pivot, you actually have listened to the right people that can give you the proper advice. Everything that is there can be somebody, if you actually put effort and invest on it, that can help you actually avoid those pitfalls that happen to every large company through life or entrepreneur. But typical myth, people from Lithuania, people from the Baltics cannot do networking. It's actually, it's manipulative. It's almost Machiavellian to use people, right? We are not good enough. How many times I have here you confuse humbleness with lack of confidence. And they're two very different things, right? And we always play this joke when I have anybody from my team in a Skype call. I say, oh, Darius is one of the best guys in the Baltics doing SEO. He says, no, I'm just the head of marketing here, right? So they always downplay. So there is a fear of rejection of doing that one, right? And if you're actually a geek, a developer, I don't like to talk. So we're talking about networking, right? But the reality is that there is people in the Baltic region that actually networks dramatically well, right? Rokas, Eddie, people from Latvia, Maris, Ernest, Andrus from Estonia. So the excuse of I'm from Lithuania, I'm from Estonia, I'm from Latvia, I don't know how to network is an excuse. So good try, you can network, right? The second thing will be the people who says, but I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk to people. I feel really uncomfortable. True, but introverts or extroverts is just a different style. So you will have to do networking differently. But again, some of the best networkers in the world are introverts by nature. They just train themselves. This is important enough to get out of your comfort zone to do something. But let's say that you agree, that you actually think, yeah, okay, we can do it or we have to do it. So where do we start? So actually, by the way, the guy is called Keith Ferrazzi, not Enzo Ferrari. Okay, I don't know why somehow somebody's okay, Italian, Ferrari, Ferrazzi. So in the program, actually, they call him Enzo Ferrari. But anyway, Keith Ferrazzi, who is actually an American-Italian guy. But I was actually in New York about 5 years ago, so I was already living in Lithuania. Typical day, an hour left before we take the taxi to the airplane, and I saw this orange book. calling me. You know, I was in a friend's house, and that was Orange Book calling me. So like, let's look at the book. And the title is Never Eat Lunch Alone. I was like, oh, the typical American sales pitch book. Never read these books, right? That's usually the lesson. I said, okay, I have an hour, nothing to do. So I went through the book, and I called my friend, hey, can I take it home? I buy you one. Because after half an hour, I couldn't stop reading it, right? And it's not that it did any revelation about something I didn't know. It was actually, he very well put all the principles that I think are key to do networking. And many of them you follow just because that's what you had done all your life. But Keith actually explained the things very well. And yes, it's true that he says, you never have lunch alone, which I actually never do have lunch alone. And if you do, just talk to somebody in the next table, right? And one of the things he says is that relationships are actually like muscles. You know, the more you work on them, the stronger they get. The more you network, the more you talk to people, the more people you know, the more people you start talking. If you haven't talked to some, imagine that you came to login and you meet this person you haven't seen for 3 years. But if for the last 3 years you have not talked to this person, you have not emailed this person, you have not Skyped this person, hey, how are you? Fine, fine, yeah. Yeah, see you later, bye. That's all the interaction you're going to have, right? However, if you actually send the guy 2 Skypes, emails, messages, when you meet the guy, it's like, hey, how you doing? How is this thing going? How is your startup going? I heard you changed your jobs. I actually heard you have a kid, right? So the muscles are actually stronger, right? The connection is there to keep the relationship. So this is very important because acquiring relationships, this is like telco. We all focus on acquisition, right? But the difficult thing is not acquiring. The difficult thing is to maintain it and to make it real. That's the secret of relationships in a professional manner. And companies, startups, are based on relationships with your customers, with your employees, with your investors. It's not about your product. It's about the relationships the company manages to maintain long term. The second sentence looks like Martin Luther King, you know, but it's actually networking is about what you can do for people, not what people can do for you. People keep thinking that networking is about calling people to ask them for something. And if that happens, and you will see that thing in the next slide, but I will go afterwards. If you ask people for something and you haven't actually given them something before, chances are much smaller. So it's about what you can give to your network, and then the network will give back to you. For sure, don't keep a score, but the network, if you're generous, if you give your network things, the network will give you back. And the more you do it, and the bigger you do it, the more it will happen. But networking is not LinkedIn. It didn't become fashionable in 2005. This is from 79 years ago. This was written by Dale Carnegie in 1936. Tell me that these things don't apply today. You have to smile when you meet people. Smiles are contagious. You're having a bad day. You don't want to talk to anybody, and somebody smiles to you. When he's talking to you, I can tell you, you might actually want to talk to the person. Talking to people is about listening to them. 90% of the people love to talk about themselves. Just give them the right question and start listening. No? Talk in terms that people interest. If you're talking to your mother, you don't explain your startup the same way you explain it to your investor. You don't tell your mom value proposition. Because when I say that, what? What are you talking about? Man, like, why did we send you to school? Like, you should have stayed in Madrid. You know? Like, you need to talk to people. For a customer in Nigeria, I don't talk to them the same way that I talk to an investor here. It's just different ways to do it, right? And you need to do it generously. I have a friend of mine, sorry, it was a friend, who every 4 years looks for a job, right? And that's when he starts calling you. He doesn't tell you he's looking for a job, but every 4 years he starts just, oh, how are you doing? How is life, etc. 6 months later, he has a new job, right? That you can do it once. The second time, people tell you, fuck it. Like, you only want to use me. You're not interested about me, right? You need to do things generously. Even if you don't like to acquire people, at the end of the day, when you do it, you have to do it with pleasure. It has to come out of your heart. Okay? If not, it's not going to work. And when somebody spends time with you, express gratitude, sincere appreciation. Time is the most expensive thing. It's the most valuable thing each of us has. It's not money, it's time. So if somebody devotes to you half an hour to listen to your company, to your project, to your idea, please make sure you send them a thank you note. Make sure that you're smart to say, oh, that was really good. Even if it might not be actually be good for you, but he devoted 30 minutes of his life to you and to your project. So you have to show appreciation. As I said before, and this is one thing that I emphasize, this is actually how I always recommend the book. Because people come to talk to me for the first time to ask me for something. Say, you should have been talking to me 2 years ago. So now I will know who you are, and I will be really interested on actually helping you. If you only talk to me when you need something, you have failed. It happens to me. Sometimes I just meet an investor, I'm pitching money, so I need to ask him for money, right? But in general terms, and I will show you, you have the planning, you need to hit people way before you need something. What Keith says actually, make sure that you actually do something for them before you ask them for anything. That might take you a year because you might need to know the guy, you might need to know the person. How do you start building those relationships? And I will use the term pinging, right? When you meet a person, it's not sufficient to remember your name. You need to hit them 3 times in 3 different media. You need to hit them in person, you need to send them an email, you need to talk on the phone, right? The order doesn't matter. Sometimes you happen to talk to a person for 2 years, they live in the US, you're in Lithuania, you start exchanging conversations. We have Skype, so sometimes you are lucky to have a video, so at least you put a face. But it only gets solidified the day you see the person in front of you and you shake their hand and say, hey, yeah, it's great to meet you finally. We've been talking for... Then you start actually having a relationship. Now you need to actually get that relationship closer. So you need for the next 2 or 3 months to keep talking, pinging the guy a couple of times a month, establishing the relationship some way. And then you say, no, but I want this person to become my friend or a good acquaintance. Then you need to take them for dinner twice. Because meeting them in person 2 more times at work is not creating a relationship that is personal. You're still talking about business. So if you take the person out for dinner, for lunch, for a coffee, twice, talk about their life, about their kids, about their dreams, something that is personal to them, you start having that connection that is not temporarily bound to your project or to your need. I think then you can start calling this person an acquaintance. And then, twice a year, at least, you need to ping them. Hey, how is life? Hey, I saw this article you might love. And then your 3,000 contacts in LinkedIn are real. Because then when somebody else will actually tell you, can you introduce me to, oh, I don't know that guy, he sent me a connection 2 years ago, but you do that 3 times and people say, what the hell you're doing? Why you have 3,000? You really have connections that are yours, right? So make sure that you are pinging everybody in your LinkedIn constantly. Develop 30 minutes of your life every day to think about people, to send notes, how are you doing? Every time. So every time I'm reading a book, how do you get more connections? I live in Vilnius, I don't know anybody, how do I get out, right? You're reading a book. For example, when I was studying Mobofree, I read a lot of books about Africa. And in that book, there is 3 names. What do? You go to LinkedIn and said, oh, what are these 3 guys? Do they know anybody that I know? And these guys were like super high, rich, successful people. You can get to them. I said, by the way, I read about you in this book. I found it very interesting. I would love to be connected with you. You're reading an article. And you think, oh, this article will be very interesting for Daumantes, or for Baida, or for Acne. And send the article. Hey, I was thinking about you when I was reading this article. Let me see if you like it, right? Create the connections, you know. You know Rokas, Thomas Shunas, he's around. He's very well connected. But get together with people that are very actively connected. I can assure you they will start sharing with you. Because that's the nature, to share the network with you, right? How many of you have actually read my profile in LinkedIn before the conference? 3, 4, and I know, and I know 6 or 7 of you by heart. Okay. So the rest, what the fuck are you doing? You cannot come to a conference without doing your homework. If you now, when you talk to me, you don't know anything about my life, how are you going to connect with me? I have a meeting right now, right after this meeting. Oh, Cristobal, can you talk to you 1 minute? You better say something interesting. And it's not about, oh, I had this great idea, thank you very much. It's something about my life that I feel that you have invested on my life and your time. So you want to talk to anybody, you want to talk to an investor. Make sure you read about one of his companies. So you say, by the way, I love this company you invested on before. Or I read this article about you in the Tribune. And then you're making the connection. Do your homework. Never hit people that you don't know. This is the internet time. You Google people and their mother pictures show up. So do your homework. You want this to be relevant, you want to be important, you have to do it. And as I said before, people love to talk about themselves. Everybody. Give them the right question, and they start talking and talking and talking. They volunteer information so easily. So appreciation, listen to them, keep asking questions. I was talking to a guy, so we're looking for money, as always, in Mobofree, and I was talking to a guy in Nigeria, Chika. He told me, oh, I have a Danish partner, so you need to talk to him. Okay. So he does the introduction, and I look at his LinkedIn profile. And I say, oh, this guy has actually invested on a Kenyan football team. What an interesting thing. So when he called me, we spent 15 minutes talking before we ever talk about money. All I talked was about football. Kenya, I said, man, this is super fascinating. What are you doing? How is it going? It's like, terrible investment. But I need to write a book because I have learned so much. So yeah, please tell me. And then he said, oh, we need to have coffee. I just want to listen about your story about the football team. Right? Yeah, we will talk about money, but really want to talk. People love to talk about themselves. Make that connection, and you are very far from everybody else with that person. You need to have your own business card. Your company business card is your company business card. It's not your business card. Unless it's your company, then okay. But if you're not an entrepreneur and you don't own the company, you have to have your personal business card. Make it interesting. Have a sentence that you like. Have a horrible picture of yourself. Do whatever you want. Having a picture is not because I think I'm good looking. It's because probably 5 years down the line, I'll have less hair, but I won't change too much. So when somebody takes my business card, oh, that's the Spanish guy. So it's actually that they remember more, right? Because they might not even remember your name. Or they always spell my name wrong in 20 different forms, right? But oh, that's Cristobal. Yeah, I remember the guy. And okay, I really hate business cards. Okay, fine. I think actually you should try. By the way, I use mo.com. Fantastic business cards, quite cheap, delivered in 24 hours. So if you want to try. But the same applies to LinkedIn. This is your business card to the world. This is your curriculum to the world. So work on it. Every time you talk about something, you read about something, just update it, make it interesting. This is what people is going to read about you most of the time. So that's how you're presenting yourself to the world. So you need to invest in your LinkedIn profile. You cannot go and have a profile from 3 years ago, a picture for 5 years ago. Yeah, you were much better looking 5 years ago. Sorry, yes. Well, they want to see you and say, oh, that's the guy. So this is not about a fashion model. It's about when I see somebody, I can say, okay, that's the person that I want to talk to. So LinkedIn is your door to the world today for many people. If you want to network properly, you need to do this. I talked before, when you meet somebody, ask questions and listen to what people is saying. You want to help that. You want to meet a person, but your mentality has to be, I need to help that person. To help anybody, you need to listen to them. You need to understand what are their needs, what are their inner dreams, what are they lacking in life, what do they want for their kids. Maybe their kids love basketball. So next time you come to Vilnius, we get you tickets to see Žalgiris. Never going to go to Lietuvos, sorry. So you need to go to Kaunas, fine, but you need to go to see Žalgiris, right? I can tell you, if you take their kids to Žalgiris game, the guy will love you forever. Their kids will come home excited, oh, we went to this arena, etc. They will love you forever. then you have established the connection forever, right? Those are the things that matter. And people, oh, that's very Machiavellian, that's very manipulative. No, that's building a connection to people, right? When you meet somebody and they give you a business card, write down who the hell that person is. Because you get home with 50 business cards and you don't remember who the hell was half of these people. Oh, I will remember for sure. You don't remember. And the older you get, you keep knowing how to read, but you don't remember things. So when you in LinkedIn, you have this how did you met function. Use it. Can guarantee you 3 years down the line, you don't know how you met people. If you have a network of more than 500 people, you have no idea when was the first time you met. And sometimes you met somebody, you establish a very quick connection, but then you don't meet the person for 2 years. It happens, right? But I say, oh, yeah, that's the guy I met in Login in 2015. Yeah, we went for drinks. Okay. Hey, long time. We haven't seen you since Login. How are you doing? Use the features. Write it down in the business card, in pencil. Hey, I met this guy here, 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 here. I can tell you it will happen so many times in your life. I have an elephant memory. I can memorize faces. Half of the times I don't remember the name. I have seen you somewhere. Well, you need to use tools, right? And until you're getting older, you don't remember. I can guarantee you that. But the important thing is that you need a plan, right? And taking a nap is a very Spanish thing, but this is actually about a networking action plan. If you have a dream, say, I want to be on the fashion industry in 3 years in the UK. I don't know anybody in the fashion industry, but I know people in the UK. Okay. So in the next 6 months, I need to know one journalist that speaks about fashion. I want to get to know 2 people that work as designers in UK firms. And I want to at least make 1 trip to the London Fashion Fair and stay there for 2 days. Okay, that's a plan. Those are actionable things. Those are things you can achieve, right? Hey, in 1 year, I want to actually be known by 20 people who work in London in the fashion industry. I want to actually write a post blog about something interesting in the fashion industry. I want to be connected in LinkedIn to 50 people in the fashion industry in London. That's doable. That's actionable. That's still actually target. And you work today on those things. Don't wait 3 years, because then it will take you 6 to do it. And you have to write it down. This is not thinking about it. This is part of your life. This is like the New Year resolution, but this time you're actually going to do it. Because we never do the resolution because we do it with too many drinks. We're very euphoric on the 1st of January, and you never remember what the hell you promised yourself. Or you want to forget because you didn't do it. Those are usually 2 options. So this is something you need to write. And in fact, sometimes make it public. Put it in LinkedIn. This is my objectives. Who can help me? This is about using your network. This is about creating a network. Expose yourself. Get some social pressure. I think it always works. So some conclusions before we talk. Networking is about building and maintaining relationships that matter to you and matter to the people. Your network is actually your net worth. This is what matters. At the end of the day, if you stop working today, yeah, you have a curriculum. What really matters is how many people you know, how well you know it, how many people have you helped. Because then you actually have net worth. Never keep a score. Oh, I only want to talk to this person once, so I don't want to introduce you to them because I might want to use them in 1 year from now. You're a loser. This will never work. Give away your contacts. If you know somebody interesting, important, and you help them meeting somebody interesting, important, they will remember you. Okay? Way more than if you keep to yourself and one day you go, oh, I really want a job now with you, or an investment with you. Say, who are you? Oh, yeah, we met 5 years ago. Yeah, okay. So never keep a score. Give. Use your network to give them, to help them. It will give you much more. Everybody here is your network. Talk to people. Everybody you meet in a coffee. Hey, what do you do? What are you doing here? What have you found interesting? Come on, you can do that. So there's 3,000 people here. I hope you have 100 more LinkedIn contacts at the end of this conference. Or if not, you haven't been drinking enough at night. So in the bar today, after the reception, start collecting, the people will forget the cards, start collecting them at least and put LinkedIn contacts, and then look for the people, right? Really have a plan. Go, size your dream. Hey, I want to be a high school basketball coach for a year. That's maybe your dream, right? Have a plan how to do it. Have actionable things every 6 months that you want to get, and see a progression. Okay, you cannot think in 3 years what you need, but you probably know most of the things you need to be in 3 years what you want. So make a plan and work backwards. What you need to achieve every 6 months. Okay, fundamental, and write it down. And I can tell you, if you write it down and you're actionable, it will happen. If you don't, you will keep dreaming about what to do 3 years from now, every 6 months, you know? And at some point, you become too old to chase your dreams. Right? So have a plan. It always works. Yep. Thank you. We have 4 minutes for questions. So if you guys want to do any questioning, you have to do questions. We're in a networking, actually, panel, so you have to make some questions. I can spend 3 minutes quiet. I'm not going to leave the stage. So, have the water? The water.
Sorry, I wanted to ask how to sustain your network.
How do you?
How to sustain your network connections. I mean, every day you can meet new people, but after half a year they are gone. They don't remember you. How to keep this network? Thank you.
Well, I will say most of the days when I go to bed, I switch on my phone, I start going in LinkedIn, and I see who is posting something on my network. Half of the times, I haven't talked to Philip lately. Message, Philip, how you doing? I love the article. Or, yes, you have a new job. Or, what are you doing? Right? Do 10 or 20 of those every night. 20 days, 400. 1 year, 4,000, almost 5,000. You have a network of 500 people, means that everybody in your network has been pinged 6 times. You're sustaining your network. Of course, you can do it through email, through calls. But, you know, I didn't do it last night. I really wanted to go to bed. I did 3 days ago. I pinged 1 guy in Brazil, 2 guys in the US, a couple of guys in Czech. Next morning, because there was time difference, 4 of them have answered. Hey, Cristobal, how you doing? Are you still flying between Madrid, Riga, and Lithuania? So I haven't talked to one of the guys for 18 months. People remember. People right away answers. You love to get messages. Oh, man, how is Jose doing? Oh, great to hear from him. Shit, I haven't talked to the guy. You do it on a day, so you can do that. It's half an hour every night. If you're interested, you don't need to do it at night. You can do it in the morning, lunch breaks. You have to eat with somebody, but you can always do it.
Hello. Could you talk about quality versus quantity of relationships?
Yep. To me, there is no difference. I don't go for quantity. It's all about quality, obviously. But if you do it well, it has an exponential effect, right? But obviously, 300 well-connected people with you is way more valuable than 2,000 that you sporadically talk to, right? So this is not a game. I remember when LinkedIn started in 2004, we were all the partners in the firm competing. Who has 100 contacts, you know? But the reality is about the quality always, right? But I think if you do it well, it has to grow. So you cannot say, oh, I have 300 people all my life. Then you're doing something wrong, right? Because if you're doing it properly, you keep meeting people through the connections, right? So I think quality is what really matters, but it needs to grow if you're doing it as a job, right? Because if we're in a global world, 300 people might not be enough. If you're in Lithuania only, maybe there's 3 million, 300, 0.01, 0%. Okay. But in the world, you know, you need 10 contacts to 20 contacts in each city that is relevant for you. That's my rule. So depending how big you want to dream. So, okay. Thank you very much.